Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So for the longest time, NHL teams, rightfully so, have been putting an emphasis on their center play. Having a good center duo is basically essential to winning a Stanley Cup. You look at recent Stanley Cup winners, Barkov and Bennett, and they're probably going to be on this list. 2023, the Vegas Golden Knights, Jack Eichel, William Karlsson, Chandler Stevenson. 2022, Nazem Kadri, Nathan MacKinnon, and the Tampa Bay Lightning, of course, with Stamkos and Point. So today, I wanted to run through my top 10 center duos in the NHL right now. These guys, it's going to be based on, like, did they, for the most part, play the center position? I know there's some guys that play a little bit of wing, play a little bit of center. These are going to be your more standard centers, and we're just going to go through it right now. And when looking at this, I do prioritize more so whoever the better center is. Like, if you have an A-plus center and then like a B second-line center, that's more impressive. That's a better overall center duo than, say, maybe having two A-minus centers. Quality, having that one superstar is going to be more important. So without further ado, let's dive into it. We're going to start with number one because you can probably guess who's number one, even who's number two and number three probably. At number one, it is obviously Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. The best player in the entire NHL, Leon Draisaitl, pretty widely accepted as a top five player. This year was like down seasons for them, and that was Connor McDavid having 100 assists, 132 points, as well as Leon Draisaitl having 106 points. I'd put the over-under on them combined points next season at like 58. I don't know. I just thought of that off the top of my head. But they're that ridiculous. They are absolutely insane. And as a result, rightfully so, there is a giant gap. We see it in the playoffs the last 3 years. For the most part, they put up absolutely monster, near historical numbers. So not only in the regular season, as well as in the playoffs, they are the best center duo in the NHL. Second, I am going with Elias Pettersson and JT Miller. Massive year for JT Miller this season, having 103 points. Pettersson was very solid the first 2/3 of the season, but Pettersson the prior year, 102 points. JT Miller 2 seasons ago, 99 points. JT Miller is that high-octane offensive center while also playing pretty solid defense, and Pettersson is your more traditional superstar two-way, very high IQ guy. Next season, I'm not sure that Miller's going to get 103 points, but I think Pettersson's going to get in the mid-90s. I think they're both going to be around the 90s, so when you consider the fact that the Canucks have that strong of offensive producers within their top six, I think rightfully so, they land at the number 2 spot. Number 3, I think it's also pretty set in stone. You got to go with Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier here. This time last year, they were probably number 1, considering Jack Hughes was coming off a 42-goal, 56 assist, 98-point season in 78 games, and Nico Hischier was around point per game, I believe 80 points in 81 games, while being the Selke runner-up to Patrice Bergeron. A little bit of a down year this season. Jack Hughes only 74 points in 62 games, dealing with injuries. Nico Hischier is still a solid 67 points in 71 games, but the defensive numbers maybe weren't as impressive. If they have a bounce-back season, they could maybe pass the Pettersson and Miller duo in terms of being the second best. Obviously, they're not going to end up being the first best, but still a fantastic center duo for the New Jersey Devils. But I could actually see you having them number 4 and number 5. I'm still going to believe in them, and as a result, I'm going to put them at number 3. Number 4, I don't have a picture of both of them together because they're a rather new center duo, but I am going to go with Nathan MacKinnon and Casey Middlestat. Nathan MacKinnon, I think after last season, kind of got to be the second best player in the entire NHL. It wasn't just the 140 points. Honestly, I was more impressed with this guy getting 51 goals last season, on top of the fact that his defensive play was the best of his entire career. He was in like the top third of even strength defense in the entire NHL from forwards, so that was very impressive. On top of Casey Middlestat, the last 2 years, especially the last 3/4 of the last 2 years, have been in Buffalo as the second line center. Not a ton of talent around him. Has been around a 20-goal, 40-assist, 60-point guy. I think in his first full season in Colorado, we could see something like 20 goals, 45 assists for 65 points while being solid defensively. Great passer. So they get the number 4 spot. Number 5, very close between them, the MacKinnon and Middlestat duo, and the Austin Matthews and John Tavares thing. When looking at this, Matthews, of course, is my number 4 player in the NHL right now, arguably number 3, 60-ish goals while playing Selke level defense. John Tavares, though, bit of a dip in terms of offensive production. First year being kind of clearly below point per game in Toronto. I believe he went from 80 points to 65 points this year. Not really some defensive specialist. So when looking at it compared to MacKinnon and Middlestat, is the gap between Tavares and Milstein. I think they're around the same level of players, so I'm going to give a little bit of an edge to Colorado. I definitely understand if you have Colorado number 4, but I think Casey Middlestat's kind of underrated and kind of a stud. Number 6, then we got Crosby and Malkin. For like a decade plus, this was the gold standard in terms of the center duos. It's one of the best center duos in NHL history. Crosby still has it. He's still an extremely elite player. 42 goals, 52 assists, 94 points this season. Still in my top 10. Evgeny Malkin, still a very good second-line center, had 27 goals, 40 assists, 67 points, but no longer has that high-octane offense potential like a Sidney Crosby. Still, considering the fact that they're, 36 and 37, the fact that they're 6th on this list is still very impressive, but they have been going down recently of late. Number 7, this might surprise people, but I have Jack Eichel and William Karlsson. When Eichel's healthy, he's around the 40-goal, 50-assist, 90-point guy while also being very solid both ways. And when looking at William Karlsson, I talked about him in like multiple videos at this point this week, 30-30 in 70 games while being Selke-level defense. He is criminally underrated. He was one of my 4 most underrated players in the entire NHL. So I'm going to put this duo pretty high. I think some people are going to have some other duos ahead of them, but I think their overall two-way play, they maybe don't have as much offensive potential as some of the duos that might be behind them, but they're just very impressive two-way play. In part why they won the Stanley Cup back in 2023 is just very impressive to me and is why they get the number 7 spot. Number 8, Alexander Barkov and Sam Bennett, the double B duo. When looking at them, Alexander Barkov, undeniably, in my opinion, top 10 player in the NHL, maybe you have him outside at like 11th or 12th, but what he did over this season, winning the Selke, being yet again around 90-point pace, shutting down star players come playoff time. He's a top 12 guy. Sam Bennett, not the most flashy offensive explosion kind of guy, gives you around 50, 55-ish point pace, but just such a menace, and we saw it in the playoffs. He's a guy that's built for the playoffs. Not going to have the flashy numbers as other guys, but we've seen it the last 2 playoff runs. He gets it done. He is that ideal second line cleanup, beat the shit out of you kind of center. Number 9, Dallas Stars. I don't have a picture of them as well, but Roope Hintz and Wyatt Johnston. This duo can easily be as high as number 6 come like mid-season this year. When looking at Roope Hintz, he had a bit of a down year this season. Only 65 points in the regular season, only 8 points in 15 playoff games. So when looking at him, I think he's going to bounce back to being around the 40 and 40 guy. I believe in him, very good both ways, but I got to see it first before I throw him up on a list higher, because also like Jason Robertson had a down year. And in terms of Wyatt Johnston, I think he's going to take another step after 32 goals, 33 assists, 65 points. Can I confidently say he's going to be 80, 85, 90 points? No, not quite. So right now, this duo sits at number 9, and I don't think that's disrespecting them by any stretch. But lastly, at number 10, it came down to 3 teams. It came down to the Nashville Predators, Stamkos and Ryan O'Reilly. I'm not as high on Steven Stamkos as others. I think he's a little bit of a power play merchant. New York Rangers, Trocheck, great with Panarin this year, but he does play with Artemi Panarin on top of Zibanejad, even strength. Not the best player. He's great on the power play. So as a result, I ended up going with the New York Islanders, Bo Horvat and Brock Nelson. My God, he's so biased. How are you so biased to your team? This guy, roast him in the comments. All right, now that you guys left your comments about me being biased, when looking at Horvat and Nelson, I understand that neither of them are superstars or even stars or even crack my top 50, but I think when you look at just how solid they've been on not the most explosive offensive roster of the New York Islanders, I think they deserve a spot. Bo Horvat, great both ways. Last year had 37 goals. This season, 33 goals, 35 assists for 68 points, playing 19 minutes a night, very good defensively. And Brock Nelson with pretty dog shit wingers still gives you 34 goals, 35 assists, 69 points. Similarly to Karlsson, he was on my top 4 most underrated players in the NHL. So when looking at their even strength production, maybe compared to those 2 other duos that I mentioned that are power play reliant, like a Stamkos and a Zibanejad, when looking at it duos, I think the fact that the Islanders have 2 guys that can give you 35 and 35 while playing pretty solid defense, they get the number 10 spot for me. I maybe call me biased. I understand. The next 2 would be Zibanejad, Trocheck, Stamkos, Ryan O'Reilly, and then you could go with like Braden Point. Anthony Cirelli just doesn't really do enough for me offensively. Tage Thompson, Dylan Cousins. But yeah, that's my full top 10. Let's run through it again. Edmonton Oilers, Vancouver Canucks, New Jersey Devils, the Colorado duo, Toronto, Pittsburgh, Vegas, Florida, Dallas, and controversially, the New York Islanders. Let me know in the comments, What do you think about this? How would your order be? Who would you move up? Who would you move down? Who would you rip out? Would you yank Horvat and Nelson out of there and throw in someone else? We'll be seeing the next one.